Hello. I just got back from seeing the D&D movie, and I feel we need to talk about it. I made a video previously about it, and I want to kind of catch up and actually review the film at this point and talk about it. Where do we start? First things first. I was pleasantly surprised in the best way possible, and we're going to go into that. I'm going to keep this spoiler free, so don't worry about spoilers. So off we go. First things first, the writing is good. Yes, some of the meta humour falls flat for me, but I'm not a great lover of meta humour anyway. But the writing is good. It's adventurous. It feels where it needs to be, a little bit cheesy and a little bit fun in places, and then switches tone to very serious when it needs to be. And the overall pacing and structure of the film is very good. It's only 134 minutes, which is refreshing in the era of the 4-hour movie. I have a feeling there may be an extended cut on Blu-ray and streaming services later, but I don't know if this necessarily needs one. I'm genuinely surprised by it. Now, the cast. You know what? I had misgivings about this cast, but oh my god, Chris Pine is really good in this. Michelle Rodriguez does it really well. And my biggest shock is Hugh Grant. Hugh Grant is a phenomenally underrated actor, and I say that with complete honesty here, that people always think of Four Weddings and a Funeral and him playing alongside Bridget Jones. See him in things like this or a Cloud Atlas. He's fantastic in a Cloud Atlas, and he's just as good in this. He really does flex his muscles as an actor, and obviously is having fun with it. The visual effects look spectacular, and actually they're some of the best fantasy special effects I've seen in a very long time in any medium in the last few years. And the same with the costumes, actually. I always love film costume. It's a bit of a weird obsession of mine. I have lots of books on film costume and so on. That's kind of my background. That's a whole different story. The costumes look really good, and they fit in with the world. And side note, there is a little cameo from the characters from the animated series in the 80s. So it's a nice little bit of fun history there. And overall, good. I was surprised to see Bradley Cooper pop up. That was a little bit of a fun one. But overall, this film actually surprised me. I think it does really well. It tells a really good story. It's fun. It's well written. It doesn't slow down. The pacing is good, and it's so refreshing to see something. I'm trying to work out the emasculation of the male characters, because actually the balance between the characters works. Actually, with Chris Pine playing a bard, it does work. And if you've ever played D&D with a bard, you know exactly what I'm talking about. They work brilliantly, and I think overall, I'm genuinely surprised by it. I came out thinking, oh, that's a good movie. That's one I want to see again. And that hasn't happened for a long, long time. Great characters, great writing, like I said. The music is stunning. I'm still really disappointed that English-speaking countries are not getting Milena Foma on the soundtrack. In French-speaking countries, her song Control plays at the end, and it's a beautiful song. It's really quite haunting, and it really fits the bill. The score is spectacular. I'm actually surprised to the point of coming out of it thinking, how did this happen? We are so used to crap like Rings of Power and Willow and The Wheel of Time and stuff, and then we get some good fantasy. Like I said, the meta humor does fall flat. It does. There is no way around it for me, but that's my personal preference. Like I said, meta humor is not really my thing unless it's American Dad, and when it works in this, but when it doesn't, for me, it doesn't. But that's your personal preference. I think overall, the humor, most of the jokes land, most of the script lands, and I'm actually surprised by it. I know I keep saying this, but I am. I was so expecting to either be horribly disappointed or bored, and I wasn't. Genuinely wasn't. It was good. It was well done. And it's what it needed to be. It needed to be a fun movie, an easy movie. It needed to be that nice, fun fantasy film. It's very much a family movie. This is not an adult fantasy, and it's not a kids' film either. And I think it kind of broke the curse of the previous films that I've talked about in another video, where the films have not been great, to say the least, of the subject. And although I do like The Book of Vile Darkness, but that's the love child of Aaron Spelling Productions and Game of Thrones. It's such a weird mashup of things. It's so cheap in the best way possible. But this is actually good and being good. I hope we either get a sequel or something. I don't want it to be a milk to death franchise like a lot of them become. But there is talk of a television show set within the same universe, which could be really fun. I think some people that might have seen this movie have been put off by Wizards of the Coast recently, and they're sort of between a shameless cash grab to get attention to the OGL stuff. I think has put the trust in that company is an all-time low, and it's a shame that the company came to this. But the film is good, and overall, like I said, it's what it needs to be. It needs to be fun. It needs to be easy. It needs to be enjoyable. A nice escapism cinema, because, people view escapism from reality as problematic, which is ridiculous when we all need an escape. It's good for our mental health. Like, I sat down, honestly, just good. It was good. And you look back at previous films, you look back at stuff that's happened in the past and think they've struggled with this. And partly because D&D is so open, it's extremely open. You can do anything as long as you stick to some certain key points and in-universe lore that's common across every D&D setting. You can create something amazing. The characters are completely free range. The world, you can have as much fun with it as you want and create. And I came out of it thinking, this is good. This is actually good. Kind of reminded me a little bit of Critical Role. There was a few Critical Role references in there which made me laugh. And I have to watch Critical Role in chunks. I have to admit that I do struggle with that show sometimes. But I mean, you come into it and you're like, oh, okay, this is good. And it got better as it went on. It is a little bit of a slow start, but it drops you into the action at the right moment, which is, again, a refreshing thing. Kind of, it does remind me a little bit of Legend of Vox Machina, which, again, that's not an insult by any means, but that kind of humour, especially in Season 2, I look forward to more from this. If there is a sequel, if there is anything that comes after it, that would be amazing. And I hope it's true. I hope it genuinely is true that we're going to get more from this universe. I can't wait. This film is a firm 8.5 out of 10 for me, which is really high. It lost a few points because of the humour didn't quite wash with me. But actually, I want to see it again, and that's very rare with a movie and me. I might see something at the cinema and watch it on streaming later, but this might end up in my purchase pile on Blu-ray, because I'm one of those weird people that still buys physical media of films that I really love. I kind of come out of this, I wasn't expecting much. And I went in and I was actually got far more than I was even expecting. Like, there's a lot of other fantasy that needs to take, especially in this kind of more lighter, easygoing fantasy, there is stuff that maybe needs to take a few lessons from this. Let's be real. And really enjoyable. What did you guys think? I'm curious on this one. I'm not going to ramble anymore, I apologise, but I do wonder what you guys thought of the movie if you went to see it, because I'm always curious to find out. I will talk to you later, and you know where my videos are.